Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It is me, once again, screaming into the void of the internet. So I have something that I kind of wanted to get off my chest that I've been thinking about over the past, honestly, weeks, And it's not necessarily anything like, serious or anything going on with me, but I think I speak for all of us in this space and even beyond this space, just people who are able to see, people who are able to acknowledge the world around them, that I think we need to really just talk about having a secession, you know? And what I mean by that is like where, you peacefully just, leave a union, if you think about it, right? Whether it's in America, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in Britain, London, we're all under siege right now by suicidal empathy, That's all you can really say. It's wokeism, it's, libtards and stuff like that, but it's suicidal empathy. It's by a whole bunch of people voting in stuff that is destroying countries, right? And everyone and their mom is saying, stop this, and they just keep doing it because these cocksuckers are running everything, whether we want to admit it or not. And, of course, they've got the interest of the freaking long-nosed little hat bastards, right? Make of that as you will, because, I can't say certain names on this platform. I can't speak about certain people because of their privilege. And let's be real, certain people do have privilege, and it's not Hewlett privilege, it's Hot Pocket privilege. You got a vag privilege. So I'm not allowed to speak about certain people. That's the kind of people who have privilege here. If you want to know who has privilege, don't look at the skin color. No. If you cannot criticize them, that's privilege. Period, point blank. And these cocksuckers, every single one of them, votes the stuff that destroys your civilizations in. And I'm just at the point where I'm like, listen, why can't we just give them what they want? If these cocksuckers think that they can create some kind of utopia, why don't we just let them? Like in America, let me just go ahead and leave this to America for a second, because I can at least just speak on America's behalf because I know the most about it because I'm here, I live here, right? Why can't we just give them a couple of states? They can have their little micro states. We can go ahead and treat it like an Africa situation. Africa's still Africa, but there's so many micro countries in Africa, right? Give them their little states. Give them like 3. Give them California, because that's what it is. It's California. Give them California. Heck, you can give them New York. And honestly, you can give them, what else? I want to say Chicago, Illinois, right? Give them that. Give them that and just let them create the hellholes that they'll make. They can have whatever rules they want to have there. I will gladly allow myself to get taxed so long as everyone who truly believes that that's what they want can go there. And then the rest of the country, we can just have what we should have. And all of the insanity, the moment that these people start complaining, say, no. Here's your ticket. You get a ticket. It's a one-way trip. You get your arse over there, and you make whatever hellhole, degenerate, garbage fest, or cesspool you want to make. And you can stay right over there. Because honestly, at this point, in my personal opinion, dude, I don't think that there's any hope. I don't think there's any hope for any of us, realistically speaking, to get along peacefully with these people. There's no getting along with them. They don't want to get along. They don't want to coexist. And in my opinion, that's fine. Certain things you can't coexist with it. Okay? You can't. And I'm sorry if you hear that. That's, my roommates, obviously. You can't coexist with them. You can't get along with them. And the sooner that we understand that and accept that, the better. Every single one of us, I'm sure if you're in this space, is seeing this stuff every day. We're seeing these instances where illegals are over here and they're destroying society. They're struggle snuggling and stuff like that. And like I said, even in the last video, I don't feel anything when these people get, the wokies. I don't. I do feel when they get, people that don't have anything to do with it. But wokies, no. Nope. Kiss my arse, I don't care. because they voted for it. But let's also not, be an idiot. These freaking illegals, when they come here, they attack anything. They don't care what they get. This is third world country behavior. This is low IQ behavior. Because in those societies, they don't nurture intelligence. I'm from a microculture, a micro society where they don't nurture intelligence. I'm a Blizax, a Nibba. I did not have many friends in that community. They don't nurture intelligence. Sure, you have people that break the mold. I'm not going to sit around here and say that every single person, and say like a third world country is an idiot. They're not. But listen, the brilliant minds, they're rare. It's not nurtured there. That's not what makes it there. What makes it there is you being willing to fit in the mold and do all of the abominable crap that we hate. Struggle snuggling, looting, graping, all of that stuff. That's what makes it in those countries. And these cocksuckers, these wokies, all these people are advocating that we invite those people into these countries. So I'm just at the point now where I'm like, listen, we should just secede. We really should. There's no getting along with these people. Just let them have their little hellhole. Because, they always like to say, oh, communism's never been tested and stuff like that. And I'm not making this about capitalism or communism or any kind of ism. All of them are flawed. All of them are doomed to fail because it's human nature. You're not battling communism. You're not battling capitalism. You're battling human nature. And humans will always make sure that they put themselves as the individual in the best possible position. Period. Point freaking blank. You can say it's wrong, you can fight it and all that stuff. And I don't really think that it's necessarily wrong to be a bit selfish in a positive manner. Okay, if you said, hey, I don't care about what this group wants, this is something that feels best for me, that's fine. But you don't have to screw over the group doing it, Unfortunately, especially like in capitalist societies, they make it seem like, oh no, we should just embrace screwing over everyone so long as I get all the money, So trust me, I acknowledge that. I acknowledge the problems with human nature. But there's no denying that you're not going to change it anytime soon. So there isn't really any kind of ism that we're fighting. We're fighting human nature itself, and that's something that a lot of people don't want to accept. But by all means, these freaking wokies, if we gave them this little, like 3 states or something, and they could practice their little communism over there, then they can go ahead and create their little utopia. Now, if you're not an idiot, if you have a good memory, you will know that in 2020, everyone's favorite summer of love, there was a zone that was erected. I can't remember in the exact location, but I know it was called the Chaz Zone. Would you like to know what happened within a week of that zone being, erected? They said you are now leaving America, and within 1 week, they had armed security. The people that say openly that they hate guns. They had armed security, but even then, it wouldn't surprise me if the armed security was the one doing it. Several women were getting struggle snuggled. You had several murders, but peaceful, right? Love. These are the people that are going to usher in some kind of utopia where everyone's got money, where everyone's got, health insurance and all, just peace and love and all this bullcrap, right? That's what they tell you at a glance. That's what they'd have you believe at a glance. But upon further inspection, upon further deep observation, right, you realize that all of these people, they're too incompetent, they're too lazy to understand how any of that works. It's just wishful thinking. Nothing more, nothing less. And I'm at a point now where I'm just like, listen, why aren't people talking about this? I don't want these people here. I'm sick of looking at them. And I know that you guys are too. I'm sure every single one of us is just sick to death. We've had a belly full of this crap, of the indoctrination, of the freaking garbage, the propaganda going down our throats on a daily basis. I'm sick of looking at everything in this culture just screaming that all of this crap that they advocate for, all of this degeneracy, all of this debauchery, all of this bullcrap, right? That this is normal. It's normal. It's racist. You can't criticize certain groups of their actions, or that's racist. It's misogynist. It's phobic. I'm sick to death of it. I know that you guys are too. That's why I'm just really asking the question here, guys. Why aren't we talking about this? Why can't we just secede? I would listen. Let me say this one more time. I would gladly get taxed right now to guarantee that all of these cocksuckers had a one-way ticket. One-way ticket. To go to like the states that I mentioned, or whatever states, they want to pick. They get like 3 states or something, and they can have whatever little hellhole they want. But listen, it's a one-way trip. And we got to have some armed guards around there because they ain't coming back. I don't care if those freaking states were on fire. I don't care if they suffered nuclear fallout. They can't come back. No. Listen, this is suicidal empathy. They will destroy these countries. They will destroy these countries with empathy. They will let the people that do not belong here in this country, as they burn the society to ash, as long as they don't touch their stuff. That's how it really works. How many instances do you see where they say, oh, let's have all these people come into the country, and then they say, all right, are you going to house them? And then they try to say, well, that's the same argument you talk about them there homeless people. Because it's worth talking about. Now, is every homeless person here like, a looter or something? No, but listen, the chances of them versus the migrants being like looters and stuff, oh, it's a night and day difference. It's a night and day difference. So I'm just being honest. I think that this is worth talking about. And I really don't understand why not a lot of us are talking about it. Because I'm telling you, listen, they need to go. They need to go. They ruin everything they touch. Every thinking process in their mind. They aren't willing to enact a little bit of higher cognition and look at something from a perspective other than themselves and say, I can understand your perspective. That it's almost an impossibility to them. I can't say it's impossible. I think that they do have the brain power for it, but they just refuse to use it, It's like a push-up. I'm sure that these people can do a push-up, but the likelihood of them doing a push-up, especially with the, like how much most of them weigh, right? It's just usually not going to happen. They can do it, but the likelihood that they do it is low. But I'm just at the stage now where I'm like, whenever I see this, something that I'll always say if someone shows me a meme now is like, secession now. Secession now, seriously. Because I'd rather not have a civil war, I'd rather not. Because it wouldn't really be a civil war, it would be a civil slaughter, okay? If we really just kicked it off and actually had a civil war, it would be a slaughter. Okay, regardless of your opinion on them, and listen, I'm no friend of the right, okay? Let me make this very clear. And I'll talk about the right in my next section of this. The right owns 90% of the freaking guns. Okay, like, if we had a war, it would be a slaughter. Now, that doesn't mean that, like, they wouldn't take a lot of sides here. Because you gotta understand, like, when it comes down to war, no one is really your enemy. No one is really your ally. I mean, not enemy. No one's really your ally. Them people on the right, if they felt like they could get away with some effed up stuff, they'd do it. That's what happens in war all the time. Well, I'm gonna kill these people, so I might as well snuggle them, or torture them, or do anything, right? You don't believe me? Well, you just go ahead and do some history on war crimes. It's not pretty stuff. If you don't have a good stomach, I don't suggest you research it, but if you do, if you desire truth, you do some research. It's not going to be pretty. It's not. So to avoid that, I'm just like, why can't we just have a peaceful secession? These people can get their little hellhole states. And by all means, if you can turn them into functioning societies, good for you. If we can still have trade, good for us. But I am more than happy to wall them suckers off like Attack on Titan, have armed patrols, and they can't come back. It's a one-way trip. We're not going to police them. We're not going to do anything. They just can't come back. Listen, the Hell Lords can stay in hell, if you catch my drift. They can stay right in there. I feel bad for the kids, because I'm sure that those bastards will still be having kids, Especially with the struggle snuggling that's going to happen over there. Let's just be real. But, hey, unfortunately, we don't choose our parents, This suicidal empathy that you're hearing from these people. It's like, for example, I'm hearing about crap like this where they say, oh, well, in Nigeria, they're killing a whole bunch of like Christians and stuff like that. I'm like, well, listen, I know that sucks, but I'm sick of my money leaving this country and screwing me over. So, no, it's not my job to take up arms and go police the freaking world. My job is to make sure that my life and the lives of my citizens, and I'm speaking from a perspective as someone who runs a country, okay, are in the best regard. And if I must, help someone, it is because of ties to the country. What does the country do for us? Nigeria is a crap hole. Africa as a whole is a crap hole. They don't do anything for anyone else. Because there's just political corruption to the T there. You think it's bad here? Holy cow. Over in Africa and Haiti and all these freaking third world countries, the corruption is on another level. It's on another level. It's bad here. By all means, it's bad here. But they at least try to, wash it up. They at least try. In Africa, oh, no. It's not pretty. It blows me away that people will come from those countries and say, oh, that's not the whole country and you don't understand. Listen, I think it's commendable to want to love your country, but to basically deny what it does is just retarded. I like things about America, but I can talk to death about corruption in America. No country's perfect. Acknowledge what it does wrong. Friend of mine at my job, he's from Haiti. And if I say something about Haiti, he doesn't take offense, but he's like, oh, it's not all like that. I'm like, well, listen, where are you right now? And then he gets quiet. I say, where would you prefer to stay to make money? And he gets quiet. I'm like, listen, I think it's commendable that you love your country. That's fine. Love your country. So be it. Whatever. But don't pretend like your country's infallible. No one should. That's one thing that I hate about conservatives, where they say, oh, you got to be a patriot. You got to love this country. No, you don't. Loving this country does not mean that I should not be allowed to criticize it. And my God, is there stuff to criticize? And on the topic, let me make something very clear. Like I said, I was going to talk about in the next section of this video. Conservatives aren't my friends. I'm not on the right. I'm not on the left. I'm not even in the center. I'm just looking out for me and, in my opinion, what I feel a lot of men usually want. Our best interests. I'm sick of being treated like a second-class citizen because I was born with a dick and balls. I'm sick of being told that we live in a patriarchy, despite the fact that, the opposite sex, X chromosomes, get to basically just point me out in a lineup and I go to jail. She doesn't have to appear in court. She doesn't have to face me. And I get to go to jail. I could lose my job because of that. But, patriarchy, right? Oppression. All of that bullcrap. The thing is, conservatives, in a lot of aspects, would do exactly what the left does, just in a different way, right? Right? Because they would probably feel like it's my obligation as a man to help somebody who is screwing me over. Oh, I'm supposed to get up out my seat and help that there whammon being attacked. No, I don't. She needs her husband to help her. She needs her husband to help her. Or boyfriend or whatever. And if she doesn't have one, then by the fact that she lives in America, she should get her hands on a piece and help herself. No excuse. Because listen, the fact of the matter is, I listen to people and they talk about how they spend $600 on headphones, AirPods, phones, all these bullcrap, right? All this garbage. You can't spend $150 to get some ammunition for a $200 gun for some 38 special? Really? Half of the money that you spent on those useless freaking headphones, you could have had a snub nose revolver and some 38 special for when crap hits the fan. But you're going to tell me that it's my job to help these people. That's what conservatives will tell you. So let me make this very clear. They're not your friends either. They're not your allies. They're sure as hell ain't mine. Right? They aren't mine. But the difference is that they can be reasoned with. You cannot reason with the freaking wokies. You can't reason with those bastards, but you can reason with the conservatives. So if I had to pick some side that I'd have to stay not necessarily loyal to, but interact with, it would be them. I can at least reason with them. But I guess in conclusion, my thoughts. I think that it would do this country, and not just this country, but all of these countries, a lot of good. All of these places where you have this hyper wokeism, progressive bullcrap, where it's a bunch of wokies acting under the agenda of people that they don't even know. Little hat, long nosed bastards, if you catch my drift, right? If we just had a conversation and say, hey, listen, let's just secede. Let's separate. My God, does America need it? London needs it. Canada needs it. They need it bad. We need to talk about this. We need to just separate. Let the wokies have their hellholes and let the sane people have theirs. And I do mean it's going to be a hellhole because, listen, like, corporatism is still going to exist in, like, some freaking hyper conservative society. They'll advocate for corporatism to a mofo. Make no mistakes about that. They ain't your friends either. But again, they can be reasoned with. That's the difference. But I'm going to go ahead and end that there, folks. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Really do let me know your thoughts on this, because I really want to talk about this, and I want to get your perspectives on this, because I'm sick of this. I'm sick of interacting with these people. I'm sick of pretending like there aren't problems with them. Problems that are so profound, so ingrained at this point, that we just really need to talk about the fact that we cannot coexist. So, thank you for watching, as usual. God bless. I'll see you guys next time.